Well, you're right on time for breaking today. Good evening from where you're watching us from. My name is JOELCHACHAM and our sign language interpreter is Teresia Washira. We have a lot in line for you and these are our top stories. President Uhuru Kenyatta dismisses the hustler versus dynasty political narrative, saying no one in the country chooses where to be born while meeting delegates in Sagana. You can't impeach Ruto, says Ruto's ally, while in Matungu hitting back at ANC. The calls for introduction of corporal punishment in schools in a bid to tame indiscipline in learning institutions continue to elicit reactions. And in a special feature tonight, we tell you the story of the genocide hunter who has devoted decades of his life to tracking down genocide suspects who have found refuge in France. Well, be sure to reach us via social media platforms Switch TV Kenya on Twitter and at JOELCHACHAM on Twitter and as well on Facebook, Switch TV Kenya and JOELCHACHAM. Be sure to text us via 111-444-111. Kicking off our bulletin with matters politics, President Uhuru Kenyatta has told off Deputy President William Ruto's camp for going behind his back to campaign him in the Mount Kenya region. In a closed-door meeting with over 5,000 delegates attending, the president denied promising to support Ruto in 2022. Our reporter Namukana Samuel with more of what transpired in Sagana.
During a closed-door meeting in Sagana today with Mount Kenya leaders, President Uhuru Kenyatta has refuted claims that he promised to support the Deputy President William Ruto for the top job come 2022. The president asked the Deputy President and the rebellious MPs, commonly referred to as the TANGATANGA movement, to let him complete his job without much disruption. During his day 2 of our 4 days journey to the mountain, President Uhuru Kenyatta has also denied claims of using the Building Bridges initiative to endorse the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. He urged the leaders to back his BBI initiative as it will give the region much benefit when he leaves the office.
Mount Kenya region has about 8 million votes, and that's what everybody's targeting. And the president knows that there's a resentment. He knows there's a rebellion. He has, as it were, the writing is on the wall. He has lost Mount Kenya, his backyard. And that's why he's really trying. He went vernacular, which to me was very, the head of state. Was he addressing a particular community? You know, the head of state, whether he talks from his bedroom, is addressing the country.
In a meeting that was entirely conducted in Kikuyu language, leaders clashed over the president's track record in Mount Kenya. The president used this day to mobilize his troops to support and endorse the Building Bridges initiative, even as the document goes to the counties.
Civil rights. It's a very, very informed society. And Mount Kenya has made their decision. In fact, the answer about the referendum to Mount Kenya is very clear. The writing is on the wall. It's not a question of if. They are waiting when. Yeah.
President Uhuru Kenyatta has advised that anyone who was interested in Mount Kenya region must choose genuine ways and not using the back door to divide the mountain. The hustler talk took the center stage, the president criticizing the hustler versus dynasty kind of politics, claiming no one dictates where he or she is born. Namukana Samuel, Switch TV, Nairobi.
As President Uhuru Kenyatta continued to drum up support for the BBI report in Sagana, his deputy William Ruto was drumming it down in Western region. Ruto claimed some sections in the BBI report, including the increment on county funds allocation, still need to be looked into. His allies, however, hit out at NC party for threatening to impeach the DP, claiming they don't have the numbers to pass the bill in Parliament. Daniel Karuki with the report.
As President Uhuru Kenyatta continues his 4-day closed-door meeting in Sagana with Mount Kenya leaders in efforts to drum up support for the BBI proposal, his Deputy President William Ruto spent his day in Western region, cautioning Kenyans to be wary of the Building Bridges initiative. DP Ruto saying that the BBI report has areas that need to be looked into before a referendum is held.
Nafikiri wataendelea na kuendesha mambo vile imeendelea Kenya hii siku hiyo yote. Mimi nataka niwaambie wajipange. Safari hii, serikali hii itaundwa na makanga.
Wewe unaonga watu wapigie BBI kura, hiyo pesa ndio ungetumia kulipia watoto wetu basari,
Kama kweli wanaona kabla hii ikishaongoza iwache, si waweke hii kwa BBI ili tuweze kupitisha hiyo ikiwa kwa BBI.
Unaitwa Eugene?
Addressing monarchs during the burial of Regina Akumu in Funyula, Busia County, DP Ruto maintained his stand on the document, challenging sections on the BBI including the increment of county allocation funds. Ruto dismissing the leader of opposition, Raila Odinga, for his remarks against the hustler narrative, claiming he doesn't put the needs of ordinary mwananchi at heart.
Hata na nyinyi saa zingine mnanitumia vibaya. Kwa sababu sasa ikifika siku ya maendeleo, tunataka kanisa ijengwe, tunataka barabara, tunataka basi ya shule, mnatafuta Ruto. Lakini siku ya kupiga kura, sasa mnaanza mambo ingine hapa ya kitendawili, tibim, sasa hapana.
Ruto's allies, speaking at the bedroom of NC's Musalia Mudavadi, trashed their earlier claims of impeaching the deputy president for opposing his boss, President Uhuru Kenyatta.
Zungumza mambo ya impeachment. Impeachment is for people who are fighting. We don't want to fight our neighboring communities. Sasa mnasema mambo ya impeachment, and you know very well, Savula. Impeachment, you require to have 2/3 majority of 2/3 to buy in. That is 233 members of parliament. Ile chama ina sponsor impeachment iko na wabunge 10.
DP Ruto continues to drum up support in the western region as the August 8th general elections near, with almost 500 days to go. Daniel Kariuki for Switch TV, Nairobi.
Thank you, Daniel Kariuki. Now, remember Mwangi Kiunjuri? He was the former Agriculture Cabinet Secretary who continues to decry his sacking as the Agriculture Cabinet Secretary, claiming the president sacked him without a reason. Kiunjuri further warning the president from attacking him and those who do not support him, while he officiated his support for the Deputy President William Ruto.
The gentleman seated there is from Bugoma.
Safara na mahasra baadaye. Sasa mbona unachanganya protocol after umeita wadusi?
I will never dissolve the Service Party of Kenya. I will never dissolve that party. Form your party, let us have those parties, but after forming those parties, we must sit together first, Kidiki. We agree. I have no problem with you leading me as the Deputy President or President of Kenya. Mimi kura yangu, nilitapea kura yangu William Samoei Ruto. My vote. That is, hakuna dispute. Hapa hakuna maneno mbili. And I'm also happy hata Kareke amesema the fifth president.
Meanwhile, the Thika Member of Parliament Patrick Wanaina has called on leaders to respect President Uhuru Kenyatta. Wanaina warns that if the region continues to be divided, it will deny them much if BBI fails to sail through.
We become humble, to learn to listen. The first time that I've seen Mount Kenya divided like this, but it is going to be our own biggest undoing. So when people are divided like this, nobody achieves anything. So I would really request our leaders in Mount Kenya, please come together, let us reason together, we can achieve together. Otherwise, divided, we are going to lose.
Shifting gears now to matters education, Siaya County Member of Parliament Christine OMBAKA has supported calls for introduction of corporal punishment in schools in a bid to tame indiscipline in learning institutions. OMBAKA said that the rising cases of indiscipline that have seen students burn down dormitories and other school infrastructure cannot be tolerating, adding that it was high time Kenyans took a bold step to address the matter. She was speaking at St. Peter's ACK Cathedral in Siaya Town during the distribution of the National Government Affirmative Action Fund checks, of course, to the various groups. OMBAKA, however, said it must be meted out to errant children in moderation so as not to cause a grievous harm.
Corporal punishment, because I myself was caned when I was a student many times, and I'm who I am because of the caning that I received. So caning is good, provided that the caning doesn't cause any bodily harm. As long as you do not break anybody's bones as you do the caning, as you do not kill as you do the caning, as we have seen in some cases, you must do it with moderation. But caning is important because it is a kind of punishment we have grown up with, and it has shaped so many people who went to school in the early years. So the young boys and girls of today, we have seen how there's no caning and therefore they are messing up schools. They are burning dormitories, and I'm busy building dormitories. I'm busy doing that. And they build and they bring them down. I'm busy building libraries. I've just opened a library in Dairy's primary school. I'm going to open another one in Ugunja, Rasanda, library. I cannot want to imagine. I don't want to imagine that students will burn it. I've put money there. It's the money that is from the government. Why would anybody burn a dormitory, a library, or a classroom for that matter? And people struggle to get money to put up such structures. They are expensive. So students who really are crazy, who have no manners and who have no discipline, go ahead and burn these schools. They need to be caned. They need to be caned. They need to be punished.
Still on matters education, Kenya National Union of Teachers officials in Murang'a have come out to defend the Secretary General Wiso Sosion from woes facing the union. The NAT officials say Sosion is not to blame.
Led by the National Assistant Secretary General Clement Gisharu, the officials say the Teachers Service Commission is working to bring down the union, which has been in the forefront, fighting for the rights and welfare of Kenyan teachers. Gisharu said TSC is spreading propaganda and using all other ways aimed to indicate the problem in the union is caused by the Secretary General so as to divide teachers and bring the union to its knees.
Clear today, crystal clear, that the Secretary General has nothing to do with what is going through. We are going through today. And we cannot point fingers at the Secretary General and say that he caused all these. That is not true. That's a fallacy. That's a propaganda being spread around here by the employer to create infighting among the teachers. I want to indicate we are solidarity together.
Speaking during election of new officials of the NAT Murang'a South Branch on Saturday, Gisharu observed that some members of the NAT were removed by TSC without their consent. The Assistant Secretary observed that despite the wars, the teachers have promised to stand with NAT and therefore teachers to turn out in large numbers to elect new officials.
Specifically pointing at the Teachers Service Commission. It is true, our union has been devastated. The membership has been devastated. And this has been a deliberate move by the employer to kill Kenya National Union of Teachers. Our membership has dropped from 183,000 to less than 23,000 as we talk today.
In his remarks, Murang'a South NAT Branch Secretary General said the government has neglected teachers by allowing TSC to frustrate operations of NAT and therefore threatened that NAT may direct its members to neglect the Building Bridges initiative.
So many of our leaders are at Sagana State Lodge on an issue that the country is debating, that is the Building Bridges initiative. The president wants us to help him to make sure BBI passes through. I don't know whether you are ready to do that. Walimu, muko tayari kusaidia raisi? Muko tayari? Hebu nionyesheni kwa mikono kama hamuko tayari. Tuko tayari. Na kwa nini hatuko tayari? Kwa sababu tuna shida nyingi, lakini president hajasema neno moja kuhusu walimu.
Saza Munga, Switch TV.
Away from that, 2 men have been arrested at the notorious Morijo area in the outskirts of NAROK town in connection to illicit brewing activity. According to NAROK North Sub-County Police Commander Frederick Siundu, who confirmed the incident, said the fenced-up compound allegedly belongs to one David Ndiga, where the half-completed house hosted the activity. 11 barrels, each filled with a heavy-smelling brew amounting to 2,700 liters, was destroyed in addition to recovered Kenya Bureau of Statistics stickers, empty bottles, shrubs, roots, honey, and a fireplace, all believed to contribute in the illegal activity.
NAROK County Government Liquor Directorate Department tuko hapa tukiwasiliana na serikali kuu kama kazi yetu kujaribu kuangalia vile pombe haramu inaendelea kwa hii county yetu. Imekuwa shida kubwa sana, and especially kwa wana youth tuko na shida kabisa. Ukiangalia hizo vipawa zenye tumepata kwa hii nyumba vile mkubwa amesema, unapata kwamba zinathuru maisha ya wananchi kutoka mkubwa mpaka mdogo, na hasa kwa wana youth. Hii town yetu ya Narok iko na hii shida kubwa na bado tunaendelea kukabiliana naye.
Tunaweza kupata habari, kupata taarifa kupitia kwa wananchi watukufu ambao wameona hii tabia ikiwa inaendelea katika sehemu hii kwa muda mrefu, wa muda wa miaka kama 2 hivi, na wamekuwa wakitengeneza hapa pombe ile ambaye haijaidhinishwa, pombe haramu, ambaye pombe inapochemshwa hapa inaenda inauzwa mchini katika hii sehemu yetu ya Narok town. Hii ndio pombe ambaye ikishachemshwa ni aina ya chang'aa, ikinaleweshwa sana na inaharibu maisha ya wananchi. Hii ni kazi mbaya, ni kazi chafu, haistahili kamwe katika jamii ya kisasa yetu ya taifa letu la Kenya.
Well, we are due for a short commercial break, but before that, today Kenya has recorded 112 new COVID-19 cases, 2 deaths, and it's actually 34 recoveries for now. We are going to show commercial break. We'll be back with more stories. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Breaking Today. My name is JOELCHACHAM and our sign language interpreter is Teresia Washira. Keep the conversation going on our social media platforms at Switch TV Kenya, at JOELCHACHAM on Twitter, and as well on Facebook. Switch TV Kenya and JOELCHACHAM. Keep sending in your feedback via 111 444 111. And now just a focus on matters vaccine in Kenya. Of course, the government is planning to acquire about 1 million, that is vaccines that will target 1 million health health workers and essential providers. This is between the month of actually February and June. And also by next year, the government is planning to have inoculated about 16 million Kenyans. And now Africa is also collecting coronavirus vaccines in the global race to inoculate entire populations. The leaders have accused the rich countries of keeping vaccines for themselves at the cost of poorer nations.
After a slow start, Africa has secured hundreds of millions of coronavirus vaccine doses, but leaders accuse rich countries of hoarding supplies. This week, Mauritius joined Seychelles as the first African countries to start inoculations. The continent was spared the brunt of infections initially, but the infection rate has jumped in a new wave. There are now more than 3.5 million known cases on the continent, though experts warn the actual numbers are higher. Meanwhile, during the virtual 2021 World Economic Forum this week, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa lashed out against vaccine nationalism, accusing wealthier nations of hoarding doses to the detriment of poorer countries.
Rich countries in the world are holding on to these vaccines, and we are saying release the excess vaccines that you have ordered and hoarded. There is just no need for a country which perhaps has about 40 million people goes and acquires 120 million doses or even 160 million. And yet the world needs access to those vaccines.
The World Health Organization says that a third of Africa's population could be vaccinated this year. This falls short of a target of around 60% needed for herd immunity, when the virus will be less at risk of spreading.
Realistically, we could expect around another 10, 15 or 20%, 10 to 15% that could be covered. So globally, reaching 30, 35% could be a realistic assumption by the end of 2021.
South Africa has set up temporary morgues because it's running out of space. Bodies are piling up as the continent's worst-hit nation passed 40,000 deaths. The country's battling a virulent coronavirus strain that could be resistant to some vaccines.
So far, we have distributed 22 of these containers across the country to various areas where we think we might have to bolster our mortuary facilities.
In a Nigerian hospital, doctors work around the clock as beds fill with COVID patients.
Some of us here, we don't even sleep at night because we have calls that we have to go and attend to. Some of us don't leave, we stay in the hospital 2-3 days, some 5 days.
Nigeria has diagnosed almost 130,000 infections, but many cases go undetected since people with symptoms assume they have malaria.
Anybody that has any kind of symptom should come out, talk. There's nothing wrong about talking. You don't talk, you just go, period, 6 feet deep.
Authorities unveiled new ultra-cold chain vaccine storage equipment last week. The country bought the machines for the arrival of 100,000 doses of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine.
Meanwhile, visiting the Valneva vaccine factory in Livingston, UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson defends the efficacy of the Oxford ASTRAZENECA COVID-19 vaccine in those over age bracket of 65 following the move by German regulators to only approve it for younger recipients. Take a look.
Germany's Vaccine Commission said it could not recommend the use of AstraZeneca's coronavirus vaccine for older people, the latest twist in a row over the jab that has put Britain and the EU on a collision course. The panel of scientists experts called STIKO said the vaccine should only be used to people aged 18 to 65 years old, as there is currently insufficient data to assess the efficiency of the vaccines for persons aged 65 years and older. AstraZeneca and British Prime Minister Boris Johnson immediately defended the jabs, which has already been widely used in Britain on older people.
I think that the MHRA, our own authorities, have made it very clear that they
think the Oxford ASTRAZENECA vaccine is very good and efficacious, gives a high degree of protection after just one dose and even more after 2 doses. And the evidence that they've supplied is that they think that it is effective across all age groups.
A spokesperson for the British-Swedish company said the latest clinical trial for this vaccine, developed with Oxford University, supports efficiency in the over 65 years age group. Johnson told reporters the UK's own regulator has established that they think the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine is very good and efficient and gives a high degree of protection. AstraZeneca's vaccine has not been granted approval yet for general use in the European Union.
It's great to see everything that Scotland is contributing to the national effort. It's quite amazing. And I think what people want to see is us bouncing back more strongly together. I don't see the advantage of getting lost in pointless constitutional wrangling when, after all, we had a referendum not so very long ago.
But the bloc's medicines regulator EMA is poised to authorize it on Friday. The latest doubt over the vaccine came as AstraZeneca was already locked in an increasing bitter spot with the EU over delivery problems.
Be in no doubt, over the medium term and much more over the long term, the changes are very, very beneficial for Scottish fishing. A big increase in North Sea cod in North Sea, haddock just in the next few years, 25% increase in overall quota just in the next few years.
Germany's TICO did not detail the data from clinical trials on the vaccine on older people. However, prominent German media outlets, Economic newspaper and Bild have reported that the efficiency of over 65 years was below 10%, claims rejected by Germany's health ministry and AstraZeneca. Daniel Kariki for Switch TV.
Well, 24 minutes now past 7 p.m. and I'm tossing the ball to Cedric Oronje for the latest in the world of sports.
Many thanks for staying with us. My name is Cedric Oronje and now let's get sporty. Kenya's Bethwell Birgen and Beatrice Chepkoech were both victorious over 3,000 meters at the first World Athletic Indoor Tour Gold Meeting of 2021 in Karlsruhe, Germany. But they went about it in different ways. Birgen took off in the final kilometer, having been paced through 2,000 meters in 5:06:44 seconds. His lead looked bumpy with a couple of laps to go, but Spain's Mohamed Katir started to make up significant ground in the closing stages. Birgen held on through and won 7:34:12 seconds, moving him into the top 10 on the Kenyan indoor all-time list. Katir was rewarded with a huge PB of 7:35:29, 9 seconds faster than outdoor best.